So tell us about how this came across. How did this all come together?
You know, sometimes there are Dana's a persistent guy, and there are ways of making things happen. And you know, like I said, man, I've worked with him for a long time, and he understands that. For me, you know, I love money. Obviously, you want to make money when you do things like that, but ultimately, it's about competition. And he touches on things that he knows that I will respond to, right? So when he starts saying things like history, you know, you can make history if you can pull this off. I tend to listen, and I listened, and then I thought about it, and now we're here.
When did he first approach you on it?
Right after the fight, he asked me immediately, and you know, you guys know what I said. But then Monday when I got home, he was texting me, and I didn't answer because I thought we were just kind of talking in the back, you know. And the next text I got was, "Stop dodging me, answer your phone." So I called him back, and we got to talking, and I told him some of the things that could happen to make the fight happen, and he was very receptive to it.
Was tough on the negotiation, like right away, though?
It was part of it. You know, they asked me about the Ultimate Fighter, and I've done it with other guys as an assistant, and I had some things scheduled for right after the fight, so I was like, you know, I don't really want to do the show. And then, you know, he started talking to me about doing the show and the opportunity to help these young men out. And I was like, man, you know what? I do want to do it. And I said, when? And he goes, you got to be there by next week. I was like, ha. You know, I'm going to have to take a couple days where I have to go do some things, but yeah, I'd love to take a part of it.
I mean, tell us about that kind of upheaval in your life, your personal life, family. How do you get things arranged that quickly?
You've got to have a good support system, right? My wife, Selena, has to be understanding. She has to know that it's about things that are much bigger, right? It's about us coming here in 2010 to coach with Team Koscheck and having nothing, and her experiencing it, and look at how we've come full circle. Now we're coaching the Ultimate Fighter, and she remembers that, right? Even though her position now is much different, she remembers being in that apartment in 2010 and not having anything, and not really knowing what we were going to do, just with the hope that we could turn this into something. And she had to understand. It kind of sucks, though, because my son has wrestling. My daughter has gymnastics. I've got a youth wrestling team. Again, support system. My assistant coaches at my gyms. My wife actually helping me with all the wrestling. My friend and assistant Cassandra, she helps me. So it's a lot of people that have to play a part in trying to make that decision come to pass.
What was her initial response when you said, honey?
She's like, no, what are you doing? She's like, we had stuff planned. She was like, you said after this fight we would take time, because normally I'll take a month where I don't do TV. I don't do anything because I want to spend time with her and the kids. And it wasn't a month this time, it was a week. And she was just like, wow, this is crazy.
You were saying, like, in Boston, though, that this would be like your last year fighting. Did you ever thought about that you would have the shot for the heavyweight title in this time?
No, I didn't. I did not think that I would have this opportunity. I thought that I would have some more fights and hopefully potentially find some big fights to be a part of, and that was going to be it. You know, I was going to ride to the sunset. But now I'm in a position that I never could have imagined 6-7 months ago. You know, when I left Anaheim, I was at my lowest. And now, a year later, I have the opportunity to come completely full circle. So, no, I didn't. I never thought I'd ever fight for a heavyweight title.
Have you talked to Cain about it?
I did. He was the first person I called whenever they asked me, you know, and I said, what do you think? You know, and he said, you know, honestly, he goes, I don't believe that I'm going to get a title shot right away. He goes, so this is such a great opportunity for you. You know, he said, you've done things in regards to my career, obviously going down in weight and everything. He goes, I have to support you. He goes, I want to support you. And he goes, not only am I supporting you from afar as a teammate, he goes, I'm going to be involved in trying to help prepare you to become the heavyweight champion of the world. So not only is he in words saying, I support you. He's here in Vegas with me right now. So when I got the call to uproot myself to Vegas, Cain did too. Because I go, I won't do this without you. I can't. He goes, I'll be there. And he's been here. So I'm with you guys right now. And both of our families just got off the plane to meet us for the weekend. So we're going to adjust, but we're doing this all together.
What is that?
Something about like things should be interesting once you get a title. He's getting his title back. So you think like if you get a title, he would be willing to fight you in the future?
No. I mean, if you listen to his interview on Monday, you know, it was never he's going to fight me. We like to keep people on their toes. But I become the heavyweight champion of the world. Cain wins a comeback fight and is in line to fight for the title. I'd walk away again. There's no way I would ever fight him. And this is his division. So if I become the heavyweight champion and he wins a comeback fight and he's in line for a title shot, he'll fight somebody else.
You did say you wanted big fights moving forward to close out the year. You won't fight Cain, but it's crazy that Luke Rockhold's going for an interim title. He'll probably go for, you know, if he wins that, he has the possibility of becoming the undisputed champion again. And then options are kind of up in the air, right? What if Luke wanted to challenge you at 205? Is that someone you would fight?
If Luke came up to 205, then I would just probably be done. I'm not fighting those guys. I would say here, you guys can have that belt back, and I'm done. I'm not going to fight Cain Velasquez. I'm not going to fight Luke Rockhold. It'll never happen. I would actually much rather vacate both championships than fight both of those guys. So I won't give you a quote that lets you guys spin it or anything. Won't fight Luke, won't fight Cain. I'd rather be beltless than fight either one of them.
There was reports that you actually phoned Stipe before you made the decision on this. Can you tell us a little bit about that phone call?
You know, I do the TV thing, so I got to go to Cleveland and spend a day with Stipe Miocic. And I learned a lot about him, his character, who he is as a man, as a pillar of his community. And I was very happy to see what he is to the city of Cleveland. And when I got the call, I said, hey, you know, if they're going to say fight Stipe Miocic for X amount of dollars, I'm going to say no. But if they say, we want you to go up to heavyweight and fight Stipe Miocic for XXX amount of dollars, Stipe is going to happen. And he goes, you know, I love you for that. He goes, because I'm thinking the same thing. He goes, we got a chance to do something real special here. He goes, let's do it. And I was like, you know what? All right. And then in the background, I could hear his wife going, yes, DC, yes, you know, for this, you know, we have to do it. And I'm like, you know, this was for competition, right? They don't all have to be bitter rivalries. This was for competition. A guy I respect, a guy I want to fight and beat because he has a heavyweight title and because I believe he will bring the best out of me.
So, talking about this super fight, how do you see his game and how do you think you guys match?
I mean, he's the most dominant heavyweight that's ever been, right? He's brought stability to a division that's long kind of been up and down, left, right, and around. So he's brought stability to this division. With that being said, matchup-wise, I believe it's a good fight. I believe that he's a boxer wrestler like I am, right? So all the skills that I have, he has, right? He's not a guy that's throwing 75 kicks in a fight. You know, he's not a guy that I've only struggled with one guy, and I had a lot of success against that one guy. So the one guy that I've struggled with does not share the same type of fighting technique as Stipe Miocic. That's the best way I can say that.
Going back to that phone call for a minute, do you think that's something more fighters should do to try and get the best deal for themselves?
We do. I mean, we're both champions, right? We're both champions, so we can do that. I don't know if a guy fighting on an undercard has the position to do that. You know, some guys don't really have the leverage to do that, and it doesn't work. It hardly ever works. But in this situation, we got on the same page because we're both champions, and we're like, look, we don't have to do this. We can stay in our division and just fight other guys. If they want us to do that, if they want us to do this, they have to make it reasonable and make it good for us, and they did.
Tell us about the transition going back up to heavyweight. Is this something that you look forward to? And is there more than just a weight gain and changing your body back?
I'm not gonna try to get as big as I was when I was fighting up at heavyweight. Sometimes I weigh 245. I'm gonna weigh between 230 and 235 at the fight. I just have to lift weights. I think since I've been fighting at 205, even though I've worked hard, I think I lose a lot when I'm just cutting so much weight in terms of energy and ability to train as hard as I want. Bob Cook is really excited about the prospect of seeing how much I can improve without completely depleting myself like I've been doing at 205. So he's excited, and I'm very excited too to see what I can really do over the course of this 8-week training camp to get ready to fight Stipe.
Being the coach for TUF and getting ready to the fight is something that is challenging for you?
No, I mean, the fight's not till July, so I won't start training camp until late April. Late April, I'm going to go to Oklahoma. I'm going to go to Stillwater, go to Oklahoma State for 2 weeks, start preparing, and then I'm going to do 8 weeks at home. So I don't have to start until April. So I'm going to go back and get some old school wrestling with John Smith and get prepared to fight and wrestle a big guy like Stipe.
You remember when Roy Jones beat Ruiz and went up and did that? Did you take any lessons from that?
I mean, anytime you go up in division to fight a guy, it's very dangerous. It's tough. But I feel like I earned that title shot years and years ago, right? As a 13-0 heavyweight. They could have justified giving me a title fight then because I won 2 fights in the UFC and was the Strikeforce heavyweight champion, Grand Prix champ whenever I moved over. So the fights, it's justified, I believe. But it's boxing. And it's full-on mixed martial arts, so the similarities stop in terms of me going up like Roy did.
Do you see a scenario where you might not come back to light heavyweight?
No. I'm going to go back down after this fight. It's going to suck. I mean, every time sucks, but it's my weight class. I owe it to the guys in the division to go back down and fight them. So if Alexander Gustafsson wants to fight like he's saying, then I'll be back down in time to fight him. But he should fight again because the fact that he barely ever fights and then he wants, I mean, I don't know. I think I fought 5 times since him and I fought. He's fought twice, right? He needs to fight again before we fight after I fight Stipe because it's February. He hasn't fought since last May. And if I fight in July, I probably won't be ready to fight again until the end of the year again. So Alexander should not have been sitting for 1.5 years and then just waiting on a title shot. That doesn't make any sense. So he should fight again before he gets a title shot, or I will say I'm not going to fight him because he doesn't deserve it. And I can fight someone else, somebody that's been fighting, that may not be as known as Alex, but has fought to get there, right? We fought in 2015, I think.
October 15.
October 2015. He's fought twice. And I mean, he's just been kind of sitting and waiting for a title shot. That's not the way that it should be.
DC, I wanted to ask you about, you said you were going to go back down, and you had referenced Roy Jones a little bit ago. I talked to him at length about his decision to go from winning a heavyweight title back to light heavyweight, and 25 pounds that he had to drop, and he said that was the biggest mistake he ever made, and that, you know, it cost him a lot. I know you made the cut, but, you know, doing it in the same calendar year might be a little bit more challenging.
Well, I'm not going to do anything different, right? I'm always heavier as a 205 pounder. I'm just not going to cut the weight down. I'm just going to weigh what I weigh before I start my weight cut, right? I start my training camps at 235, 230, and then I start to bring my weight down. Like 3 weeks before fight, a month before fight, I still weigh 230, 235, and then I start to bring my weight down so that I can make the weight division. So I'm just going to fight where I normally weigh.
So that would bring the question up then, if, you know, your quickness may not be as good as it was at light heavyweight, because if you're dropping that 30 or 35 pounds and you're getting there, you have more quickness, which would seem to be an edge you might have over Stipe. So is that concern you at all if you lose that?
In the heavyweight division, I've always been faster. I think that was probably my biggest attribute when I was fighting up at heavyweight, was just being faster than the heavyweights. I mean, Stipe's a big guy that's always fought heavyweights. You know, he hasn't really fought light heavyweights. So it'll feel different being in there with me. I'm going to move different. I'm going to be faster just naturally than the guys that he's used to fighting. I mean, Francis Ngannou was 265 pounds, 270. Big and strong and fast, but it's different. Alistair Overeem was 250-something pounds. Verdum's a big guy but and a good grappler, but Verdum's kind of a slower guy on his feet because he's so big. I'm not as slow on my feet. I can move. I can create angles that most heavyweights really can't. I think that's where I'm going to cause him some issues. And also the ability to really go hard for 25 minutes. I mean, he fought a great fight against Ngannou, but he was on top and they both seemed to tire. If I can take a guy down over and over, I can do that shit for like an hour. I don't get tired when I'm on top. I'll get tired if I'm having to just stand with guys or having to get up off the bottom and all that other stuff. But just in top control, I mean, you guys saw what I did to Dan Henderson. I could have did that for 5 more rounds. I mean, obviously Stipe is a lot bigger, but I don't generally get tired when I'm on top.
The fact that you were in the cage 7+ rounds with Jon Jones with that 84-inch reach.
Yeah.
So would that prepare you more to face Stipe? You know, even though he's a different fighter and he's not going to be as quick as Jon, but the fact that you were in there with somebody that had an 84-inch reach and could come at you from halfway across the ring.
Yeah, big guys, right? Jon's a big guy. He's very big, and he really does have a crazy set of skills, right? Things that most guys can't emulate, you know, and that's what makes him really unique. The fact that he can do so many things. So I believe it'll help me tremendously. The thing is, there's going to be a difference because with Jon, he doesn't punch very hard. So I was able to eat strikes to get in there. I cannot do that against Stipe because he does have the power to really hit me and hurt me on the way in. So I'm going to have to be very focused on my head movement and on my entries, or I could find myself in a lot of trouble.
And I wonder, you know, with Rockhold not being in your camp, will that have any, you know, I know you're going to be going with Cain, but not having that second big guy that you can go with, will that have any impact?
No, because I bring guys in, right? Because Luke's gone, I've replaced those training partners with other guys.